Well, welcome back to the Rhonda Swan Show, everyone. This week has been full of intuition and unbelievable guests. In fact, most of them have been part of our new book, the Intuition edition of Women Gone Wild. And today, my guest, you are going to absolutely love this woman because of the work that she does in the world and her presence and what she brings. In fact, she is a classical Chinese medicine practitioner specializing in spiritual acupuncture. Her name is Merina Ty-Kisera. She provides guidance and tools to empower those in need of solutions for enhancing their physical and emotional health, thus the quality of their life. She focuses on the spirit of her patients and clients, helping them understand themselves and the lens through which they see the world. Now, once she was introduced to essential oils, she pursued certification in AromaPoint therapy. Then after 2 years of testing, Merina developed her own version of acupressure with essential oils to empower her patients, which eventually led to her writing the book, Acupressure with Essential Oils. Merina, it is so amazing to have you here.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good.
So
It's
excited
good.
to be with you,
I
Rhonda.
know. It's like so cool. I've been having some of the coolest chats with the women that are being part of the book and, you know, what we want to bring when it comes to intuition. And I know this is really a part of you and how you navigate, you know, your life and how you see through through the lens of the world. Can you share
Mhm.
why you said yes and what is the intuition? How is that guiding you in your decision making?
That's all there is really in my world, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're working just from here, from this noggin, then, life gets hard. But
Yeah.
we're able to guide ourselves, to be guided and to open ourselves to be guided. Then that's when life becomes magical. It becomes easier. It
Mm.
becomes fun. And then people like you show up in my life. And so that's why I wanted to be on board because I really have my own way of bringing that in. And I use that in my work all the time and really tap into the deeper parts of the person so that they can understand where they are, why they were there, why they got there, how they got there, and how they can get out and change.
Yeah, you know, I think that part there, that the work that you do, would you say most people right now are still in that gap or that question, like, who am I? What am I doing kind of moment? You know, like what do you think's taken place in society that has caused us to not be so in our authentic self and not be so aware of who we are?
Oh my God, we've been so conditioned to think, to be individualistic,
Yeah,
to
it's our
think,
head.
to just be, you have to be analytical, left brain. That
Yep.
all our schooling is all about left brain, memorization.
Yep.
It's all about that. It's not about more of the right brain skills and the
Mm.
cultivation of our artistic expression, of our own knowing. And if we have our own knowing and it's outside of the status quo, then it's going to get squashed down. It's like, oh no, can't do that. Can't let people know that you know that or see different things or think differently. And that's what makes it, that's what's caused disease. That's what's causing dis-ease.
Yeah.
And so many of my patients and clients, it comes right down to that, where they remember that point in which they were just squashed and then they just shut up and then shut it down. And it's reopening that's like the gift. And also sometimes I have to pry it out of them, but that's okay.
So let's talk about the work that you do then. Like, how do you do this work? Because yeah, you're right. This is a big thing. You know, I mean, imagine someone that was, let's say, even in their younger years, like very bold, outspoken, even as a child, let's say, and all of a sudden they were told,
Mhm.
"Don't do this. You're too loud," and boom, shoo, they're shrunk
Yeah.
all through their life. And
Yeah.
then we've got mothers that are that woman that are now holding back, and now their kids are learning from them. Like, so how does
Right.
your work come through and find that?
Oh God, wonderful way of questioning that. Yeah, so I really look at through the lens of the classical five elements, and the five
Okay.
elements are all based on nature.
Mhm.
And we are all a microcosm of that macrocosm. And so I really kind of focus in on what element you are that's imbalanced. So I
Mm.
can bring that back into balance. I can do that through conversation. I don't have to just do it through acupuncture, but I do that with conversation and through some of my work online. the way I really work with people and helping them understand their particular lens that they're looking out of, and they don't recognize it very often until it's pointed out to them. It's like we don't realize who we are because that's who we are. So I help them. I help them see some of their actions and look at the elements and describe what the elements are and how they're fitting into that. And when they begin to see it from a different perspective, they can go, oh, aha, I see that's what I'm doing. And that's become their modus operandi because that's how they look at the entire world.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the elements? This is like really fascinating because I think most people are like, oh, this is super. I think we were having a call yesterday with all of the authors. It was like, oh, this is very woo. It's like, no, this is very science based. Like this is really, let's talk about the elements so people can start seeing in themselves maybe what they are. Cause I have a feeling I know what my element is.
Yeah. Well, it's a little bit different than astrology. So if you're something in astrology, you're not necessarily that in 5 elements. So when we talk about 5 element from the Chinese medicine perspective, it's fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. I'm
metal.
And
I already know.
You're metal and you're metal and you're fire.
And fire. Yeah.
You're the combination. And you're fire because you're like out there. You're like, yay, this is great. Let's do this. I'm joyful. I want to bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Let's have fun. Let's do the beach party. Let's live in a warm climate because it's all the fire element.
Yeah.
But when you get really fiery, sometimes it's like, okay, whoa, Nellie, let's bring her back to the ground. Let's ground her a little bit. Turn that fire down a little bit because it can be like, whoa, it can be intense for people.
Yeah.
It can even cause you to be kind of red in your face because it's like so hot. Fire rises. You can get heart palpitations like that, but also it's that joy, that love, that joy that you exude and that brings everyone together. I'm a fire element as well, a different aspect of it, but I love love, love to bring people together, love that connection. And the other elements, let's say earth would be somebody who's much more motherly, very open to nurturing, just very, very nurturing. And yet the downside can be like, oh, I don't feel supported. I'm not getting nurtured, but they need the nurturing.
Yeah.
And as our fires are like, well, I'm giving so much love. I'm not getting enough love. So then that's where we end up talking about, okay, where are you not getting that? And then because, they all come into me with complaints, of course. It's like, well, let's talk about them. So then we can see that's where they're looking from. That's the lens. And then how it can be balanced out. And where is your superpower? Where can I really align you with understanding what your superpower is and then give you the tools and the ideas, the techniques to help you really hone in on that superpower and then be able to strengthen that. And then also you'll learn about that with all your family and your friends. And she's like,
well, that's the brilliance, right, of understanding. Like we also use human design. I love the 5 elements, right? So we've got, so you talked about fire, you talked about earth. So let's talk about metal, air and of course water. Right?
Yeah. Metal and air are very close.
Yeah.
So metal and because it is about the lungs and the large intestine, it's about air. It's about prana. It's the first point of contact of life, right? Yeah. So we breathe that in. It's very inspirational. We're connected to the inspiration of the heavens. If we don't have air, we're not very inspired because we're dead. But what it is they're also, on the archetype, if you look at it from the archetype, at the alchemist, and we are now in autumn here, and the leaves are falling. And when the leaves fall, they go to the earth, and then they nourish the earth. And they alchemize into the soil and the nourishment of earth, which is what is able to bring back to life. It's also a time of grief and sadness, which is just kind of ironic that's happening a lot these days. And so it's about kind of connecting to our primordial life force within us and letting go of stuff, because the other organ system is large intestine. It's about letting go. And there's so much to go through with each person, with each element, but there's personality types, there's seasons, there's emotions, there's all different aspects of every element. It's even got its own cosmology. So it's fascinating study. And this is study what I bring not only to my practice, but I bring into classes, I bring into my talks, my workshops and all that. And I brought a little bit of that into my book.
It's so I love it because I love learning and hearing about it, because the more we can know about ourselves, right? Because we are all grounded into this, from this earth. How do we then navigate in ways that are also harmonious, with this 3D or world that we're in right now? And because what I love too, Merina, is we got a lot of the authors of the book that are very in the quantum, right? However, now we've got a really beautiful balance. We look at the way Chinese medicine looks at, how we are now and how do we navigate through that. So how did Chinese medicine even come into your consciousness? Like, how did you start?
I have always been, when I was born, I had a birth defect and had a lot of problems. And I really always checked out medicine and really loved medicine. But Chinese medicine, I got acupuncture treatments, and it really seemed to be the thing that connected the most. I wasn't sure about it for a long time, but then I realized later on, it was like I kind of came full circle after doing the whole Western type stuff, and came around full circle when I had experienced it with a practitioner, and their particular form, which is the form I'm learning now. I'm like, oh my God, I want that.
Yeah.
Because it was not about symptoms. It was about connecting to me. And he understood me. And it was like, that's what I want. Real clarity, real connection. And from there, now that I'm more balanced within my own element, I'm way more intuitive. I'm way more in touch, because I'm not fighting against myself. And when I let go of that fight, then I understand and I have more self-compassion. Then now I'm just much more unaligned, and it's easier to walk through my day hearing and listening and hearing.
That's huge, right? For someone to actually say, now here I am, I found myself. I'm grounded in myself. Now how can I serve? And I think when we find that moment and that space, then we can be a bigger impact on the world. We can serve others with such a more authentic space from ourselves, because if we're uncertain, how are we then serving? And I think that's a big lesson I often see, right? I talk to so many entrepreneurs and people that are doing great things, yet they're wondering why they're not getting to where they need to be. And it's usually because of that grounding, that centering, and finding yourself, right? How would you say that people can really start, like, how can people work with you? Do you do online work? Like, because I know what you just said is what so many, especially my audience, is like, that's what I'm looking for.
Right. Well, people can reach me through marinawellness.net. I do a lot of work online, because I can go into the Akashic Records, and I can go into working and helping you understand your element based on our conversations, and then help you do specific things to connect you to your element practices, even some acupressure, even some oils, and also then help you do some things that will assist you in opening yourself up through that. Then, of course, coming to see me in Asheville, North Carolina for a 5-element treatment. And that's a whole nother experience. It's an amazing experience, actually.
Yeah, a friend of mine also, she works in the 5 elements, and I've had some experiences with her, and it was like, wow, like really grounding in and just finding myself, and then understanding, like, even like you were saying earlier, it's like the connection of fire, and then connection with metal to air. It's just knowing even how I am around other people at times, right? Where you're like, I don't want to be involved in that, like my metal side's like, all right, no, right? And then, but the air, the connection to air is like, okay, this is really where I get inspired from, and I know these moments and spaces. And one of our other authors who you're going to love, Patty Negri, she's also one of the stars of Ghost Adventures on Netflix and Travel Channel. And she considers herself an elemental witch, right? Because she uses different elements. And like, gosh, this book has got some of the most fantastic ladies. And I'm learning so much. And I think it's so exciting. And I want to thank you for not only the gifts that you're bringing, but the gift that will be also bringing into this book for other women. And
Thank you.
yeah, I'm super excited for what we have
I'm
yet
super
to
excited.
create.
I'm super excited. There's so much to uncover and to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more to come, my dear. So is there any last words that you might want to share with our audience before we go?
Yeah. I want to give you a practice, so a really quick practice to help you kind of calm and get ease. If you're just, you can do anywhere, but if you're like, you can just take your little pinkies and you can go to your ears and you can go right here to the top of that ear, right at the top and right here, and just go gentle, and just hold it gently. And then just take a couple deep breaths and your body will start calming down. This is called the spirit gate.
This is so great. All my studio, everyone in the studio is doing it.
Everybody's gonna get.
I know everyone's probably sitting watching this,
like a duck and making yourself laugh.
Yeah.
So I'll use it with bergamot essential oil. But this also, now I feel my body already just kind of going. Oh. So when your next power outage, you can just kind of go, okay, it's all fine.
Yeah, no one really knows. This was a cut because my power in Bali went out, which it does a lot. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah. These
so
little
you just
things.
Hold that anytime you need. And right there, that's it. Super easy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Merina. I love your work.
Absolutely.
And I love who you are and what you bring. And I'm so excited to what more is yet to come. Thanks for being here, my dear.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being here as well. Make sure you follow Merina and learn about the 5 elements so that you too can find who you truly are and come from that more directed and guided and grounded space. Have a great one, everyone. We'll see you in the next episode. Don't forget to be unstoppable and stay wild.